Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I finally decided to do it. Go ahead and make one. My name is Carlee Murrell. I'm a personal trainer in Portland, Oregon, USA. I am on Instagram at It's Carlee Fit, ITSCARLEEFIT, if you want to find me on there. I am just going to go ahead and jump right into it. I want to share one of the biggest, scariest things I have ever shared with the internet, and that is that I have HSV2, herpes simplex virus 2, genital herpes. I was diagnosed in 2008 when I was 17 years old. On my Instagram, I have shared everything from that initial diagnosis, my experience with it, dating with it, not disclosing, and how that turned out, disclosing and how that turned out, my journey with holistic healing. Today, herpes is definitely my health gauge, my stress gauge. I see her as a friend, dare I say, but it wasn't always like that. And you know, I recently just had an outbreak and I'm on the mend. And this one was a little more painful than the ones that have happened recently. So I just felt like it was a little reminder to keep talking about it and keep opening up about it, and don't forget where you came from and how far I have come with it. Before it was dark times, especially growing up with it. When I was first diagnosed, the doctor was very insensitive, zero compassion. I was a kid, and she took one look at me and was like, yep, that's herpes. Didn't look me in the eyes, didn't give me any resources, just sent me down to get some blood work. I was heartbroken. I was walking around for like 2 weeks prior to going to the doctor with the initial outbreak in just excruciating pain, because I was fucking terrified of asking my parents to take me to the doctor because they didn't know I was having sex. And now, you know, your like worst fear is happening. Google was definitely my teacher. Highly suggest against that. Even if you're like comfortable with where you're at, Google is just always worst case scenario, right? I did not want to tell any of my friends. I told my closest friend and my partner at that time, but that was also because I was in denial. And when I got the diagnosis, I believe, just because this friend actually told me, they were like, what, you have herpes? You told me you didn't. So I had definitely lied to them and was like, nope, don't have it. I was open with my partner, but I just think we were all so young, we didn't really have any idea like what we were up against, but at the same time that like it's not that big of a deal. It's a very, very common skin condition with a very bad rep, and not a lot of resources out there. So hopefully we're creating one right now. These days there are a lot. I'm actually part of HANDS. That is a nonprofit. It is an acronym for Herpes Activist Networking to Dismantle Stigma. So look that up. And I've created a great online community, and just being able to have someone going through an outbreak when you are is like support and community as human beings is everything. So a lot of people have written me with questions, concerns, feelings with that initial diagnosis of shame and guilt and fear, and will I ever date again? Will I ever have sex again? Yes. Yes, you will. I promise. Unless you don't want to. But what breaks my heart the most is when people use the word disgusting. They feel disgusting. And sweetie, this is just the risk that we take being sexual human beings. Everyone takes this risk. You are not alone. Statistically, you are not alone. Got that little pimple out of there. Depending on the study, 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 people have one type or the other, whether it's type 1, type 2. Shingles and chickenpox are a type of herpes as well. But you should never feel disgusting. This does not change who you are and all you have to offer. Okay? Those initial feelings are completely natural and normal, unfortunately to say, but we live in a society where, you know, porn is readily available, but yet we don't talk about sex in, like, now we're coming up with, you know, like, consent is a really big important issue right now that we're tackling as a collective human society, and not just saying yes I want to, but like yes to passion, yes to orgasms, yes to love, yes to just that skin on skin contact. And there's so many other ways to address and express intimacy. That's another thing that herpes has taught me, is see if you're compatible in more ways than just the bedroom. And if that person is really pushing you to get into bed, then maybe you need to reevaluate that person and their intentions. Not to say that you can't have one night stands or like a summer fling if you have herpes. You just, if you're going to be a mature adult and actively sexual human being, then you need to take that responsibility and have that quick conversation. It doesn't need to be this big, like stress, you know, filled conversation. You just need to confidently own it and be like, hey, by the way, since things are getting a little hot and heavy and I'm very interested in you, but I just want you to know that I have HSV1. Do you know what that is? And maybe, you know, open the floor for questions, but also sometimes people won't have questions. I've had that where people are just like, oh, okay. And you're like, did you hear what I said? So sometimes we build things up, a lot of the times we build things up in our minds and create these stories before they've even happened. So you need to give that person the opportunity to have their own reaction, and then you also need to be open for that and ready for that, whether either way that it goes. But I want to go back to, there's many other ways to express intimacy. So, and this might sound cheesy to some, because obviously it sounded cheesy to me once upon a time, but I mean, reading a book to somebody, my current partner, I was really, this was like the first relationship, not my first relationship that I was really careful about disclosing, but I just really wanted to take my time, and I really liked him, and I wasn't sure how he was going to react, and I'm so glad that I did take my time, because we really got to know each other. We went to the park and read books together. We went on really nice dates. We had really meaningful conversations, and we had really hot makeouts. Girl, I'm saying, like, I was leaving the house, like, woo! Like, literally, like, yelling in my car, like, myself off. I was like, oh, it's so hot. Like, I haven't had that kind of like sexy, grindy makeout session since I was a teenager. You know what I mean? When's the last time that you just like had a really hot makeout that didn't just lead to sex? And then the thing about sex too is we're always in a race to orgasm, but like you can have sex and not orgasm and just enjoy the journey, even though orgasms are great. This partner also, I'm just gonna throw this out there, this is the first partner that I've ever had an orgasm with vaginally during sex. So 28 years old, y'all, and I just started orgasming last year with him. So I just think that I mean, herpes is my health gauge and my stress gauge, but it also makes it a little more important to take my time when getting to know someone that I'm going to invite into and onto my body, my sacred temple. Like, you're welcome. Like, give this stuff away too freely, which, not slut shaming, girl, because been there and it's fun and it's a rush and I totally get that too, but just be a little more mindful of who you're welcoming in to you. because we take on those people. We give a little bit of ourselves and we take on a little bit of their energy when we have sex, or even when we're having a conversation with someone, right? So yeah, all in all, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is what it's going to be about. It's a lot of real, straight to the point stuff, vulnerable, intimate conversations. At least that's my aim. I don't want to just be rambling on here and not get to the fucking point, you know? Like, I feel like that's a lot of YouTube. But yeah, so welcome to my YouTube channel. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I want to keep these under between 10 and 20 minutes because we're humans and we have a really short attention span. But I hope that held your attention the whole time. So I'm going to be doing videos on my whole journey, my experience, holistic healing, dating, and more. And so I said I was a personal trainer. I'm making that transition into spirituality, psychology, holistic healing, meditation, breath work, all that stuff that just gets us right back into our bodies and connects us with our inner being and what the fuck we're really doing here. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.